Thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. It's about learning. Immediately. So today we start Daf Chavtes Amud Beis. That's 29b. Start on the bottom. Yosef Rabba Oven, Rabbi Yitzchak Rebbe. It must mean Rabbi Yitzchak the Great. Rabbi Oven and Rabbi Yitzchak the Great were sitting Kamid Rabbi Yirmiyah in front of Rabbi Yirmiyah. But Kamenamnem Rabbi Yirmiyah, and Rabbi Yirmiyah was dozing off. Yasvi v'kamri. So this is what they're saying. Sometimes when the Gemara says this, they're saying something to try to wake him up. They try to say something shocking, but it's not necessarily so. But sometimes that's. So what did they say? These are these two students in front of Rabbi Yirmiyah. They said Labar Pada Damar Padan Chayzers v'Kaitshos. Remember what happened? I mentioned in the Mishnah that if someone says that these saplings should be a sacrifice until they're cut down, they cannot be redeemed. Why can't they be redeemed? So Barpada explained that every time you redeem them, they immediately jump back to being sacrificed, being consecrated. These are consecrated like a sacrifice until they're redeemed. And not until they're cut down. So if he tries to redeem them by taking off the consecration and putting it the sanctity and putting it on something else, it immediately jumps back on because he set a time until it's cut down. That was what Barpada said. So according to Barpada, that holds this. Tifshay, you can answer the boy Rabbi Shia, the question that Rabbi Shia asked. Said like this: someone gives a woman 2 coins. And he says, one of these coins, you should be married to me today. And with one of them, you should be married to me after I divorce you. So this is like, you buy insurance, He had
too much to drink, this guy. Speaking of drinking, I remember when Rabbi Groner, who was in charge of Australia, one time he had so much to drink, they couldn't wake him up. So they said, the Rebbe was on the phone, or one of the Maskirim was on the phone.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
So he gives her 2 coins. One of them, he says, you should be married to me with right now. And the other one is, when I divorce you, you'll be married to me again with the 2nd coin. So this was a question if it's going to work. So what these 2 students said is that it should work according to Barpada. Again, let's do the comparison. Barpada said that if someone consecrates an item and he says it's consecrated until I cut it down, the sapling. So what happens then is what happens then is that if he tries to redeem it, it immediately comes back to being consecrated. He redeems it, it jumps back on. So this is what we're going to say over here. Just like over there, the consecration, the sanctity jumps back even though it was just redeemed. So too the marriage to this woman is going to jump back on even though she was just divorced. He married her with 2 coins. One is for now and one is for after the divorce. So it's similar to the consecration, which is coming back a 2nd time after it gets redeemed.
But luckily, then it wasn't a divorce, right?
No,
because he had a forward-going commitment. The divorce has to break all relationship.
Oh,
just all of these examples, you could say either it was redeemed and then the situation came back. You could say it's ineffective. It's ineffective until the time frame's over.
Right. The only thing is that I think actually the divorce does take effect in this case. When do we say that a divorce doesn't take effect? When there's still some strings attached.
Right.
That's when he says, I'm divorcing you, but you can never do this and that. This is part of the stipulations. Then he says you can never visit your parents or something. I'm divorcing you, but with such and such a condition. So he's really retaining some hold over her life. That's not considered divorce. It has to be They have to be totally severed. There's nothing, they have nothing in, he has no power over her at all. But here, he's giving 100% divorce. The only thing is we're thinking that maybe a Kedushin should kick back in because he gave her 2 coins previously. The divorce would be a valid divorce. She would be considered a divorced woman, but she's now a remarried divorcee.
But technically, there's no like, there's still strings attached, no? Or they,
No, the
these
divorce was
attached
a real
to-
divorce. He happened to give her money for 2 Kedushins. So he wants the second one to kick in now
So they're betrothed forever.
until the next divorce. I told you the joke in the guy goes to the best and he divorces his wife. Remember? He divorces, he tells the cipher, the Adam, they write the get and everything. After the whole divorce, he hands her the get. So he says, Adam, are you watching? He takes out a ring and he says, he tells her, Harayat Mekudeshasli B'tabasa. So they said, you're crazy. We went through the whole thing with the divorce and the document, and we sat here, and this now you just right away you marry her. Said, for a second wife, she's okay. Okay. So Itar Bu Rabbi Yirmiyah. When they said this, that this answer to Rabbi Isha's question, so Rabbi Yirmiyah wakes up. Amar lahu, he says, "My commandant Misan, what are you doing this comparison? It's not a comparison at all. Padan mekamiz padan hu lepadan acherim." Rabbi Yirmiyah tells us something we didn't know before. Before, we were saying that if he redeems it, according to Barpada, the consecration comes right back because he set a time limit for how long it's consecrated until it's cut down. So he redeems it in middle, it comes right back. But that's only if he himself redeemed it. He was the one that consecrated it. He redeems it. It's now in his possession. It will come right back. But let's say someone else comes along and redeems it. Someone paid money for this consecrated item, the sapling, to become redeemed. That means that the money goes to Hekdesh, the sapling goes to him. And now all of a sudden, the person is going to extract it from him by his previous statement, and it's going to go back to Hekdesh. It doesn't work like that. It only goes back to Hekdesh if it's still in his possession. And his statement that he said before would make it go back into Hekdesh. But over here, when someone else redeems it, so then it goes to that person, and the redemption actually works. Even Barpada will agree. What he wants to say is, Hachi Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Padan, who, if he redeems it, Chayzris v'Kedoshes, it goes back to being consecrated. But Padam Acherim, if it's redeemed by someone else, the Ein Chayzris v'Kedoshes, it doesn't go back to being consecrated. That person acquired it. It leaves the possession of the original owner. It goes to Hekdesh. It leaves the possession of Hekdesh. It goes to a third party. The original owner can't get it back to being Kaidash. Says if that's the case, and a woman is like she was redeemed when she's divorced. It's like she's redeemed by someone else, by a third party. I guess the explanation for that would be is that when she's redeemed, not she's redeemed, when she's released, when she's divorced, anyone can, she goes under the possession, under the domain that any man can go and marry her. Not like if he redeems the same item, it comes right back to, over here, when he redeems it, it comes right back to him. Comes right back to him, so then his earlier statement goes into effect. But if someone else redeems it, it goes into their domain, and then the first party's earlier statement doesn't come into effect. By the woman, he married her, and then he wants to marry her again. There were 2 conditions. Once she leaves the marriage, she doesn't go back to his domain. She goes into her domain, which allows other people to marry her. And so then his kedushin before doesn't immediately take effect. it is up to her also. She doesn't say anything, but if she agrees, she doesn't have to say anything. She accepts the kedushin and she's silent. But that would be enough for the marriage. She's silent, she accepts it, and so that would be good.
What
Yeah.
if I say Shneim is Tachi Masa?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine, but there's all types,
Rabbi, that in this case of the woman, she's the only one that could redeem it. That doesn't make a difference because the sapling, like someone else could redeem it. But in the case of the marriage, only the husband could redeem it.
It's a very good question. But I think the answer is that we're not looking at who can redeem. We're looking at which domain she goes when she's redeemed. That's what we're looking at. Like what happens after the redemption, after we were talking about the redemption, the divorce. Duran has a few points over here. First, he has a question. First question is that the woman doesn't really go to another domain. She goes back to her own domain. And just like he was able to be Makdasher the first time, he can be Makadasher the second time. Right? He could be Makadash, it can be Makadasher, marry her once, married her again, he married her again. She doesn't go into a domain where he has no reach. By someone redeeming the sapling, it goes into a domain where the first owner has no reach. So that's why he can't reconsecrate it. But over here, it goes into her own domain where he married her the first time she was in her own domain. So now she goes to her own domain. Why is it not a comparison? Duran's like challenging that. Anyway, he gives us the answer. I'm not sure I understand what he's saying, but he elaborates on the fact that the woman herself doesn't do the marriage. If for some reason he's saying that if the woman would be involved in the marriage, actively involved in the marriage, like if the woman could do the marriage, then that would be correct. But because it's only the man that does the marriage, I'm not sure why. She just agrees.
Could it be because the man is the one who does
Yeah, because the man is the one that initiates the marriage.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
I don't know if Rabbi Naftali was saying this before, but it just seems like there was a separate action here that there was not in the statement about the saplings. Right? I think it would be more comparable if he had said, okay, this is these saplings are consecrated to me, and they will be consecrated to me if I ever say that they're not consecrated. Right? And then he says these are not consecrated anymore. Right? Or I guess I don't know if we can do that. I guess that would be the same thing as redeeming it. These are redeemed, and then somehow they immediately become consecrated again. Like there's a specific action there saying,
By the sapling, there's a specific action, or by the divorce?
But by the divorce, right? By the saplings, I don't know. I guess he cut it. I don't know. It doesn't seem like parallel.
Let's make the parallel like this: consecrating the saplings and doing the marriage, marrying the woman. That's matched up. Redeeming. Okay, now 1 second before we go further. Consecrating the sapling. The sapling is consecrated until he cuts them down. Okay. The marriage goes until the divorce. Okay. All right, let's not say until the divorce. Marriage goes forever. Marriage goes forever. Now, in the middle of this one had a time limit of until it's cut down, and this one has a time limit forever. There's no time limit. So now comes along something in the middle that severs both of those. The redemption of the sapling. we say that when it gets redeemed, it goes immediately back to being consecrated. Because of that time limit that he had, he said that it's going to be consecrated for all of that time. So it goes immediately back. When it comes to the marriage, he divorces her, but he had already set up a second marriage with her after the divorce. So it should immediately come back as well.
When you say immediately, it doesn't mean that there's 1 minute in which they're really divorced. It means immediately means immediately. This many seconds.
Right.
So there's no change in the status whatsoever.
Yeah,
None,
well,
because
no.
immediately means nothing happened.
No
There's
practical
time.
check.
No time.
Okay.
No time when anything changed.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
So is she divorced or is she married?
Divorced. Then she got married. They have different chances. The moment that she said she got divorced, it's divorce. The moment you remarry, it's remarried.
Right.
That's it.
Right. What I'm
No,
necessarily
but
saying
it
is that
cannot
it's
be in the middle.
it's coming. It's exactly at the same time. Both of those are going to take place. The divorce and the marriage will take place at the same time. Okay.
But I do find the connection with the sapling because like it goes like for the second that the sapling is being redeemed, like then it takes on like immediately after, like they're both immediately.
Right. Right. It'll be the same thing as the sapling. It's redeemed and it immediately jumps back. Now, what is the final halacha here? The what the Gemara is doing here is it's making it look like it's more comparable to being redeemed by someone else, and the marriage does not take effect. But the Ran points out that that's not actually the case. We're saying that it's not comparable to him redeeming it himself. We can't bring a proof that the second marriage does take effect, but we also can't prove that the second marriage doesn't take effect. So it's left as a question. However, then he says that there's a Yerushalmi. Let's see. Listen to this. Yerushalmi. 1 second. Oh no. No, I'm sorry. That was something else. He quotes a Gemara from later. That says, just like this. Someone tells his friend, the field that I'm selling you, selling a field to his friend, the field that I'm selling you, I'm going to repurchase it. When I repurchase it, I'm consecrating it. So when he actually repurchases it, it becomes consecrated because of that statement. And the Gemara explains that since now he's able to consecrate it right now, because he didn't sell it yet. So therefore, that power that he has is able to extend over to after he repurchases it and to consecrate it then as well. So he wants to bring a proof from this. He says the Rashba does this. It brings this proof that this is exactly what's going on here with the woman, that he is able to marry her right now, which he did. He did marry her right now. He says he's going to divorce her. But after the divorce, he's going to marry her again. So because he can marry her right now, which he actually did, he can also marry her then, because he has the rights to do that right now, and it matches. The Rashba says that it matches up with that Gemara over there. So the answer will be that she is remarried, according to the Rashba. Yeah.
Good question. In the case of the field, since they didn't put a time limit, it would be like indefinite. He said that when he buys it again, it will be a consecrated.
Yeah.
It's indefinite.
Yeah. The Ran himself argues on this. He says that it's not perfectly comparable because this is what he says these terms, and I'm not sure if I have it perfectly, but he says that the consecration that he would have done right now to the field and the consecration that he does after he repurchases it is the same status of consecration. So he's able to do that second consecration right now, and it's exactly the same. So we allow him to do it then because he could do that now. But when it comes to the marriage, it's not the same. The second marriage is not the first marriage. He's not doing, he could marry her, yes, but he's somehow that it's not going into the same state of marriage. Oh, you could have done the marriage, and then all marriage is all one. It's the first marriage that he's able to do now, and then he's able to do a different marriage. That's what it looks like he's saying. Okay, this is where we're holding it. Marnami was also a statement. Amar Rabami, Amar Rabbi Yechanan Leishan al Shapadan Hu. When do we say that Varpada says that it immediately jumps back the sapling to being consecrated? That's only if he does the redemption. But if someone else redeems it, it doesn't go back to being consecrated. Okay, like we explained. Do we have a new Mishnah? Someone takes a vow, doesn't want to have any benefit from people that travel by sea. Seafarers, sailors, any benefit from sailors. Well, he's allowed to have benefit from people that live on the dry land, non-sailors. Let's say he says the other way. Let's say he says, I don't want to have any benefit from people that live on dry land. He's also biyar de'ayam. He can't have benefit from sailors also. Why? Because even sailors live on dry land. When they stop, right? Oh, no, he's talking about people.
Sorry,
Right. Right. He's talking about people, not the food. He's talking about he doesn't want to benefit from people that. Right. Not referring to people, sailors, referring to people that go from Akko to Yafa, which is a very short trip. We're talking about people that take long trips. Now, there's two ways of reading this Mishnah. Kumar's gonna, that last phrase, what's it referring to? We'll see in a second. Rav Papa v'Rav Acha Brei Rav Yika. There's a discussion between Rav Papa and Rav Acha Brei Rav Yika. These are later Amirayim. They're discussing what this Mishnah means. Chad Masni Aresha. The end of the Mishnah that says, not like these that travel from Akko to Yafu. Rather, someone that takes a big trip. Who was that talking about? So one of them says it's referring to the beginning of the Mishnah. We'll see in a second what that means. One says it's talking about the end of the Mishnah. The Gemara spells out what the two discussions are. It's going to have now two commentaries on the Mishnah. They're very different. But yeah, in English, you would have to know the rules, the grammar rules of when to use a semicolon and all of that, like how to get this straight, which I don't think anyone knows, except for Microsoft Word will correct you about these things. You try to figure out what they mean. Fragment, consider revising, like it says that. What does it say? So it says like this. Mandatani Areshim Masnahachi. One that has it on the Resha, it says he learns it like the following. If someone takes a vow, he's not going to have any benefit from people that travel by sea, from seafarers. Mutter b'yeshvei hayabasha, he is allowed to have benefit from people that live on dry land. Okay, fine. But that means that seafarers, he is also to have benefit. But like Ke'elo, but he's not usher from people that go from Akko to Yafa, because that's not even considered seafarers. That's people that are kayaking. They're not. That's not. That's not sailors. The halan yoshve yabashin. Those are people that live on dry land. We're talking about people that take a real boat. They go out. This is Akko to Yafa, along the coast. They don't even have to go really into the sea. They could just, go down the coast. So they're not going into on the map. You can see. Okay. What according to this opinion, when he takes a vow from seafarers, not only is he permitted to have benefit from people that live on dry land, but even seafarers themselves, not all of them are prohibited, because some of them are not really considered seafarers, only those that really go far. Let's go a little further. That's one way of reading the Mishnah. Man de masni aseifa, but there's another way of reading this. You could read it like this. Masni hachi reads it like the following. Someone that takes a vow not to have benefit from people that live on dry land. This is the seifa. It's another way of reading this Mishnah. He takes a vow from people that live on dry land. Also, he's not allowed to benefit from sailors. Why not? Sailors don't live on dry land. Yes, they do. I don't mean that you're not allowed to have benefit from sailors because people that travel from Akko to Yafo are not real sailors. I'm not just referring to that. But even real sailors, people that really go out, because they do come up to the dry land when they stop. Okay, now according to this, what we're saying is that a stringency, that those that say that it's talking about the Seifa of the Mishnah, the Seifa says that if he takes a vow from people that live on dry land, not only is he forbidden to sailors that travel from Akko to Yafu, but he's even forbidden to real sailors. Okay, now let's just compare what we lost from the first one. In the first one is he took a vow that he's not going to have benefit. In the ratio of the Mishnah, he took a vow he's not going to benefit from sailors. He said he is allowed to have benefit from people that live on dry land. Because he only said sailors. Now, what type of sailors was he referring to? So if we learned it on the ratio, we said that we're not referring to sailors that travel from Akko to Yaf. We only meant real sailors. But now that we're not saying that on the ratio, we're only saying that on the Seifa. It could be that in the Seifa, he's even being strict that if he would take a vow that he's not going to have benefit from people from sailors, he may be referring also to people that travel from Akko to Yafu. Even those kayakers are also considered sailors, according to the one that says on the Seifa. So it comes out the Seifa has two chumras. First of all, if he takes a vow from people that are the Seifa says people that live on dry land, he's not allowed to have benefit from sailors. Not only sailors that travel from Akko to Yafu, but even real sailors are also considered people that live on dry land. Second chumrah is if he takes the other vow not to have benefit from sailors, then it could be that he's including in that even people that travel from Akko to Yafu, which was not the case in the ratio. If we said it on the ratio, if this last clause was said on the ratio, it comes out two chumras from this. Okay. Quran says that but the way we would paskin is l'chumra, like the Seifa.
And the Seifa was that you could take this vow. And the Seifa was what?
Seifa was, you see, there were two vows going on here. One vow was he takes a vow he's not going to have benefit from sailors. That's the vow in the ratio. Now in the Seifa is he's not going to have benefit from people that live on dry land. Now, then there's a clause that defines what's a sailor. Not only people that travel from Akko to Yafu, but not people that travel from Akko to Yafu, but people that travel way out. Now, what is that explaining? Is that explaining who he meant in the Reisha, or is that meant who he's being prohibited to in the Seifa? In the Seifa, it means you're being prohibited not only to people that even in the Seifa it says dry land, not only to people that travel from Akko to Yafu, but even that people that travel very far, you're also prohibited. That's what it would be defining. If it's on the Seifa, it's defining the halacha. If it's on the Reisha, it's defining his the limitation of the vow. The Seifa, it's extending the vow. The Reisha, it's limiting the vow. Okay.
Is this Mishnah about how literally, or whether one should take literally the words of a person when he takes a vow?
Yeah.
Is that what this is really about?
Yeah. It's talking about the what people mean when they say something.
So people may not mean seafarer when you take a kayak from
Right.
So it's about how to interpret a person's words.
Right. Okay. Now, there's Yerushalmi that the Ran quotes. Someone takes a vow from Yordei Hayam, from people that are at sea. sailors. After 30 days, I'm not going to have benefit from them. The vow begins after 30 days. Within those 30 days, people come, these sailors come to dry land. So when did he mean that the vow should take effect? Did he mean from the time when he said it? I don't want, in 30 days, I don't want to have any benefit from sailors. Now, these people now came to the dry land. So did he mean that those people that were sailing then, and now after 30 days, even though they're on dry land, they can't have benefit? It doesn't mean only people that are sailing at the time that the vow took place. It says it's dependent on a machlekes, Rabbi Yishmael and Rabbi Akiva. A woman says, I want to become a nazir right after I get married. Okay. Now she gets married. Rabbi Yishmael says that the husband is able to annul the vow because the vow took place right at the marriage. And right at the marriage, the husband is able to annul. He has 24 hours that day, he can annul the vow. Rabbi Akiva says the husband cannot annul the vow because that was a vow that took place before the marriage, and a husband can annul vows that take place before the marriage. See, now we have two.
It was then he can do it too.
Yeah, together with the father if she's 12, right? But if she took the vow before that, took the vow before the Erisin, before the Nisuin, before everything, she took the vow, not to get confused here. So Rabbi Yishmael says the vow, when is it a vow? When it takes effect. Rabbi Akiva says when it is a vow? When it's uttered. So according to Rabbi Akiva, you always go after the statement, when it's said, and according to Rabbi Yishmael, you go after when it's chal, when it takes. So he says that would be the machlekes over here, what he means when he says he's taking a vow from people at sea that should take place in 30 days. Does he mean when it takes place in 30 days? It doesn't mean right now. That would be a machlekes Rabbi Yishmael and Rabbi Akiva. Let me see, does the Ran accept this? Seems like he accepts it. But he doesn't accept the halacha. No, he doesn't accept this halacha. Oh, annul it in 30 days. Yeah, that's what would come out. That's a good question. Jeff is asking, according to Rabbi Yishmael, if a woman takes a vow that she's going to do something in 30 days, can the husband annul it in 30 days, or does he have to annul it on the time that she took the vow? I always thought it's when she takes the vow, but maybe according to this, it's not so. Oh yeah, it's when he hears it. It's from when he hears it, but nevertheless, maybe when he hears it, it only takes effect. That would be if it's effective right now. He hears it right now, he can annul it right now. But maybe it's maybe he has the 30 days to annul it because it doesn't take effect. Maybe according to Rabbi Yishmael. Okay. We did the Mishnah, we did the Gemara, new Mishnah. Someone takes a vow, he doesn't want to have benefit from people that see the sun. Well, Asaraf Besumim, he's prohibited to have benefit based on that vow, also from people that are blind. Because he says people that see the sun, I think it has to do with like case endings, as a subject or object there. What it really means is people the sun see.
Even the blind are prohibited.
Even the blind are prohibited. Even the blind are prohibited. Why? Because he didn't mean people that see the sun. He mean people that are seen by the sun. Well, my timer. How do we know this? If he wanted to say people that see, he would have said people that see, not see the sun. And so what does he mean to say? People that are seen by the sun. It says lafuki dagim v'ubrim, he's excluding fish and not, I guess I should leave the word people out, things. He's excluding fish and fetuses that are not seen by the sun.
Fish do see this.
Well, the fish could see the sun, but the sun doesn't maybe see the fish because they're covered by the water. I know they're up in the first 40 feet or something.
Unless he's pregnant, how's he gonna benefit from fetuses?
How's he going to benefit from a fetus? I don't know. Maybe if he's using the woman as the scale, as the as a balance, Yeah. Even if he is pregnant, how does he benefit from a fetus? Oh, yeah, but I guess after he's born, maybe he's saying who's a fetus right now, or maybe that's what he means. Yeah, right. Could be so upset with society. Everyone that's alive today is no good.
Does the farm also refer to fetuses inside other mammals?
Yeah,
So it could be a calf that's inside the cow.
right.
He's not, he doesn't want to cut it out and eat it now.
Right. Now, Taisus points out over here that he only meant things that are alive. Now, what Taisus does here is he says, remember his words from things that see the sun. Well, he actually means, we translate it to mean seen by the sun. So seen by the sun would be everything, vegetables, everything is seen by the sun. So really, he should be prohibited by, if that's what he really meant, seen by the sun, everything should be prohibited. But because he said Raya Chama, sees the sun, so he really means things that see as well. So what Tosfos does is he says, yeah, you need a combination of both. You need people that see, it needs to be things that see, has to be alive, that sees doesn't have to be people, but or animals. But it's not referring to vegetables that don't see at all. Okay, next Mishnah. Hanayda mishchere haraish. Takes a vow from darkened heads. It's not a racist statement yet. Asr bekrachen obali sheves. He's prohibited to have benefit from bald people, even though the heads aren't so dark. And also old people, the hair is white. Also, he's prohibited to have benefit from them. Because when he says darkened heads, he's referring not to what the color of the hair is, or if they have hair, means, we'll see in a second. He's able to have benefit from women and children. He only means men. Men are considered darkened heads. My time, what's the reason for this? Well, first of all, why is he prohibited for bald people? Their heads aren't dark. Because he didn't say people that have hair. He wanted to say bald. He wanted to say only people that have hair. He would have said people that have hair. He said darkened, that's meaning something else. He's permitted to have benefit from women and children because darkened heads is only men. My time. What does this mean? Anashe, what's the reason? Men, sometimes their heads are covered, sometimes it's not covered. But women, their head is always covered. And children, their head is always uncovered. Well, it's a little bit confusing because what it seems to tell me is that men don't always wear a yarmulke. And children don't never wear a yarmulke. That's what it seems to say. Now, could mean to resolve that issue that men don't always wear a yarmulke. Could be that what it means is that the yarmulke doesn't cover their whole head. Women, their whole head is covered. Men, sometimes, what it means sometimes is, some partially. Doesn't seem like to be the pshat though. I know that Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak wore a yarmulke, right? That was like where it started. Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak wore a yarmulke. But it doesn't mean a yarmulke or a hat. Uh-huh.
What are the answers?
Now there was a There was, yeah, I'm sorry.
But then for kids, it kind of like I understand like they never wear yarmulke because
Right.
they do.
Right. Kids do wear a yarmulke. So I don't know what it's referring to.
Is it talking about Jews and non-Jews or just Jews?
Oh, maybe it's talking about non-Jews. Non-Jewish women always cover their head. Yes, in the Arab countries, they cover their head.
A few 100 years ago,
Yeah.
even the Gentiles would cover the women.
Oh, really? Now, there was a Shalos Chuvas, Rabbi Yehuda ben Arash. He has a tshuva over there. They asked him, "Do you have to wear a yarmulke?" So he said, "Yeah, you're supposed to wear a yarmulke, but sometimes when it's very hot, I sit outside and I learn and I take off my yarmulke." Now, this is what he writes. Now, in the introduction to this, to the Sefer, which was reprinted, they said, "Don't believe that tshuva. That was corrupted by the Germans. That you know, the German had this like foundation of publishing books. They corrupted the manuscript, and it's not real. You look at this; they would insert different things. Anyway, I don't know which way to take this, but maybe this could be a support for that thing. Anyway, okay. Today we wear a yarmulke for several reasons. Bald spots, right? But because we always cover that part of our body, so it's considered not tznius to uncover it. Yeah, that's it. It takes on another halacha because it's always covered in our communities. So it's considered parts of the body that are always covered. Yeah. Okay. Once you start taking things like that what you do in your community, and that's considered tznius, then we start to question. So if the women start to don't wear long sleeves, is that considered that now it's normal and now it's acceptable? And that would be like the next discussion that you'd have to have. So there's a standard which says it doesn't matter even if it's still considered tznius at a certain point. It's got to be some limit on that.
Is that the reason why we don't scratch or take our hair under the yarmulke?
I think that had to do with maybe a dead louse, and you would have to wash your hair, or maybe not. I mean, yeah, it's the same. It's because it's covered, then you would have to wash your hair, right? Wash your hands, not wash your hair. Nedarim Daf. Someone that takes a vow from anyone that's born. Mutter benolden. He's allowed to have benefit from people that will be born. Mina noldim, asr mina yeludim. If he takes a vow from people that will be born, then he's prohibited to have benefit from people that are born already. Reb Meir mater af yeludim. Reb Meir says that if he takes a vow from people that will be born, he's permitted also for people that were born. We'll see in a minute what Reb Meir means. The Chachamim explain, the Chacham could be the Tanakama, that when the person says he's taking a vow from people that will be born, what he really means is anything that is born. And the Gemara is going to say later, it's excluding things that are hatched. He didn't take a vow from things that are hatched, that have an egg, and then, okay. The Reb Meir, what's going on with Reb Meir? Reb Meir said that he's permissible also for people that were born. When you say also, you mean people that will be born and also people that were born. But if you mean both, then what was the meaning of the vow? Gemara says it can't be, if it's both, then there was no vow there. It's missing words, but it needs to be taught like this. I'm going to reread the Mishnah for Reb Meir. Someone that takes a vow from people that were born, Mutter benoldim, is allowed to have benefit from people that were not born yet. But if he takes a vow from people that were not born yet, he's prohibited from people that are born already. Reb Meir says, Reb Meir says, no, it goes both ways. He takes a vow from people that will be born. He's permissible to have, it goes both ways. He's permissible to have benefit from people that were born. Just like if someone takes a vow from people that were born, He's prohibited to have benefit from people that will be born. Now, what we did over here is we said that Yolod means was born and Noilad means will be born. Amalei Rav Papa Abaya, Rav Papa asked Abaya, Rav Papa's a student. The Maimer is this to say the Nolden, the Misyaldin Mashma, that Noilad, the word Noilad means that will be born. Alamayat, we have a pasuk, Shnei Banecha Noldim L'Chaberetz Mitzrayim. Yaakov tells Yosef, your two sons that were born in the land of Egypt, referring to Ephraim and Manasseh, they were born. Achinami des Yaldinu, you want to say it means will be born? They were born already. Elamai, the Elamai, rather, what does it mean? The Yalda Mashma means that they were born. That's the case. Alamiata, the Ksivhini ben Noila, the base David, Yoshia Shmai, says a child, but the prophet says a child will be born to the house of David. His name will be Yoshia. Achinami, the Hava, you want to say that he was born already? Because it says Noilad, but Dayan Menashe Leiba. Menashe wasn't even around yet, and it was his grandson. Elamashma Hachi Amashmachi, rather, the word Noilad could mean both born and will be born. But Nedarim Hachalash Menei Adam, all we're saying is that when it comes to vows, we follow what we think people mean. Not in the pasuk, it could mean this or it could mean that. But what do people say it as? So that we say that Noilad would mean will be born. That when the person takes a vow from Noldim, it means anything that's born. Lafuke mai, what is it coming to exclude? Lafuke dagam ba'ifis, it's coming to exclude things that are hatched, fish that have eggs, and birds that have eggs. It didn't say turtles and snakes. I guess I would go into that category. Okay. Good day, everyone.